Mohenjo-daro. It's a name that just sounds ancient, doesn't it? It whispers of a lost world, one of history's greatest and most haunting enigmas. So let's try to answer the big question. What actually happened to the people of this incredible city?
Take a look at this. 4,500 years ago, this wasn't a ruin. It was a bustling metropolis, home to maybe 40,000 people, truly one of the most advanced cities on the entire planet. And then, around 1700 BCE, everyone just left. So how does a city this grand, this important, simply vanish from history?
To even begin to wrap our heads around this lost world, we have to start with the only name we have for it. And fair warning, it's a pretty chilling one, given to the city thousands of years after it was already gone.
Yeah, in the local Sindhi language, Mohenjo-daro means mound of the dead men. But here's the thing, that's not what the people who lived there called it. Their real name, it's been completely lost to time, just like so much else about them.
And this timeline really puts the scale of the mystery into perspective. The city was thriving for centuries, right alongside ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Then it was abandoned, and it just lay there, silent and buried for almost 4,000 years before we found it again. I mean, what an incredible gap in our history.
So when archaeologists finally started to uncover this lost city in the 1920s, they found a civilization that was, in so many ways, shockingly modern. It was way ahead of its time.
I mean, this wasn't some chaotic jumble of buildings. No way. Mohenjo-daro was meticulously planned out. Its streets were laid out in a nearly perfect grid, a level of urban planning that was just extraordinary for 2500 BCE. That kind of organization points to a powerful central authority and a society that really valued order.
And the city was basically a masterpiece of social organization. You had a raised citadel, probably for public buildings, and then a lower city where most people lived and worked. They used standardized, fire-baked bricks. Think mass production. And get this, they had a sophisticated system of covered drains. A focus on sanitation like that wouldn't be seen again on this scale for literally millennia.
And if you want to talk about engineering skills, look no further than the Great Bath. This thing was a massive public pool, about 12 meters long and over 2 meters deep, and it was made completely watertight with a lining of natural tar. It was probably a huge part of city life, maybe for religious ceremonies. Just as impressive, though, was their water supply. As archaeologists were digging, they found these strange-looking towers all over the place. Turns out they were wells. They were just built higher and higher over the centuries, as the street level slowly rose with each new generation of rebuilding.
So how many wells are we talking about? Over 700 have been discovered so far. 700! That works out to roughly 1 well for every 3 houses. Access to clean water like this was simply unheard of in ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. It's a true marvel of engineering.
But you know, a city is way more than just bricks and drains. It's all about the people. So, who were the inhabitants of Mohenjo-daro? Well, the artifacts they left behind give us a few tantalizing clues.
Meet the dancing girl. This tiny bronze statue is only about 10 centimeters tall, and it's around 4,000 years old. Its existence tells us 2 huge things. First, these people had mastered complex metalworking, using a technique called lost wax casting. And second, that arts like dance were a key part of their culture.
The archaeologist Mortimer Wheeler was just captivated by her. He said she was perfectly confident of herself and the world. It's an amazing quote that just seems to bridge that 4,000-year gap and lets us see not just an object, but a real person with a personality.
And then there's this guy, who we call the Priest King. This little soapstone sculpture is just so dignified, right? With the neat beard, the headband, the patterned cloak. But was he a king? Was he a priest? Or somebody else entirely? The truth is, we just don't know.
But maybe their biggest secret of all is their writing. The people of Mohenjo-daro had a script. You can see it right here on these copper tablets. But here's the catch. Despite decades and decades of trying, nobody has been able to decipher it. Their stories, their history, their name for the city, it's all still locked away in these symbols.
And all of this leads us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? If this civilization was so sophisticated, so organized and so successful, where did they all go?
Well, archaeologists have a few leading theories. Some think massive, catastrophic floods from the Indus River just kept burying the city in silt. Others argue it was probably a much slower process, like environmental collapse. Maybe they just exhausted the land from farming and making bricks, and that, combined with smaller, constant floods, was the final straw. But whatever the cause, the end was pretty decisive. Around 1700 BCE, the great cities of the Indus Valley, including this one, were just abandoned. The people walked away, and an entire magnificent culture just faded into history.
Now, after 3,700 years of silence, the city was found again. But the story doesn't end there. Today, this ancient wonder is facing a whole new set of threats that could wipe it out for good.
You know, everyone recognized how incredibly important this place is to human history. In 1980, Mohenjo-daro was named the very first UNESCO World Heritage Site in all of South Asia. That's a pretty big deal.
And yet today, the ruins are in grave danger. Salty groundwater is literally eating away at the ancient bricks from below. The wind and weather are causing constant erosion. And sadly, some of the past restoration attempts have actually done more harm than good, even causing ancient walls to collapse.
And the warning could not be more stark. Over a decade ago, Pakistani archaeologists said that if conservation efforts weren't seriously improved, the site could effectively disappear by 2030. We are in a desperate race against time to save what's left.
Looking at these ruins, you're really seeing a fragile legacy. A city that survived for a millennium, was then lost for nearly 4, and now faces the very real threat of being lost again, only this time it would be forever.
And that leaves us with one last, really urgent question. The people of Mohenjo-daro left us no readable history, only these silent bricks and mysterious artifacts. So, what secrets about our own shared human story, their language, their beliefs, the real reason for their downfall, will we lose forever if we let this incredible ancient wonder just disappear again?